values, such as respect, humility, honesty, toleration. Here's a glimpse of the projects and the works that are students.
These are a few pictures of the efforts he took to attain Purna Swaraj or complete independence from the British. He believed that only non-violence and peace would help liberate India, and violence would only make the problem worse. As you can see, this is a picture of the Dandi March, which happened in 1913. Mahatma Gandhi laid certain virtues and values which is very relevant in today's world. To make it easier to understand for our students, our school has made these in form of graphical posters, and these values include leaving bad habits, serving our parents, always being truthful, and putting others' needs before your own. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ela Gandhi from class 7C, and I'm going to talk about the models and projects present here in this display. Over here is a model of Gandhiji's strut car. He used the strut car to spin his own cloth, which he called Kali. He encouraged all the Indians. Good afternoon to one and all. I'm Manushka, and today I'll be speaking about the various projects made by the students of our school. This explains the process of the Dandi March, which is a very important event in the history of the Indian freedom struggle. Moving on, we have this project promoted and taught social reform and social justice. This is the civil society and its social figures of Cambodia. This is the Chinese figures of Confucius, his early life and achievements.
What a novel.
26,000 words.
We've come up with our in-house program, which is called the Global Monsoon Class Program. And basically there are 6 pillars in this program. So I take you through those pillars and also associated with it, what are the kind of activities we do. So by the end of K2, just one slide before, by the end of K2, we ensure that our children have a vocabulary of at least 1200 words. There's a very systematic assessment that is done of the fluency that the children are equipping. So there are tools that we use to continuously assess the children. I'll speak, and if there is anything specific you would like to see, then maybe we can open up that sheet for you. Next slide. Again, for us, very important that children need to be environmentally conscious. So we have made this a very important part of our curriculum. So there are activities planned month on month to kind of address this whole curriculum that we have. Next slide. Next is, as I was saying, that every child is unique, and therefore all of us know Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. We ensure that we practice that. So all our lessons will ensure that these 8 intelligences are tapped. We have, suppose we are using, we just go on that theme-based itening there. Whatever our topic is, for example, it is fruits and vegetables, all 8 intelligences we have activities for. Besides that, we also have mapping videos.
And things like that. So we then put together a curriculum. We've now got 12 values that we look at. And we just launched just before I came, we launched our manual for the 12 values, how we teach them. And then as we went, you see, for the first year we did 5 centers. The second year we brought 13 centers together. And we went through this curriculum to fine-tune the curriculum.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise afternoon to one and all. I'm Anushka,
And I'm Sagnik.
and we welcome you all to today's Leadership Lecture. The Leadership Lecture series invites speakers from various fields to share their experiences and expertise with our students.
Today, we have the honor of hosting a rather distinguished and eminent persona amongst us, Miss Ela Gandhi. Miss Ela Gandhi is a prominent peace activist who has contributed immensely to the freedom struggle in South Africa. She hails from a family that has contributed immensely to the act of non-violence. She is none other than the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi. We now request Ms. Gandhi to come up on stage. We also invite Rajiv Vasudeva to join her on stage, and our principal, Ms. Madhu Khanna.
With you. Ma'am, as a young generation, we feel immense joy and pride when we hear of your achievements. And you're a prolific source of inspiration to youth all over the world for advocating political equality and freedom through passive resistance. You have made a very compelling case against racial segregation and gender inequality. Ma'am, could we request you to share a few words with the students, please?
Thank you. Good afternoon to all of you. And I must say, I'm really overwhelmed with the work that is going on in these institutions. I visited one this morning and now this one. I just want to say, firstly, that the awards that you spoke about, those awards are not for me personally, because I can't do anything on my own. It's a whole lot of people who came together and achieved a number of things. In the same way as your teachers, if they didn't have all of you here today, they would be nothing. So it takes everyone together to achieve whatever it is that we set ourselves out to achieve. That's the first point I want to make, that it's very important to recognize that even in our leadership, if we recognize that we are not standing alone, that everyone else in the team, the people that we are working with, everyone counts. And that makes a strong leader.
There has always been a lot of curiosity among the young and the old to know more about Gandhiji, the man, especially as a father and a family member. We are therefore very excited to have you here because it gives us a unique opportunity to learn of Gandhiji from his descendant. In this regard, Riddhi Sharma of Class 4A from GIIS Noida campus would like to ask you a question. Over to GIIS Noida.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Riddhi Sharma from GIIS Noida. I would like to ask you, what is your most memorable moment spent with Gandhiji?
Well, I was 6 years old when I spent about 3 months with Gandhiji. And I spent about 3 months with him. I was born and brought up in South Africa, so unlike my other cousins, I didn't have the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him. But my parents visited India in 1946-47, and during that time, I stayed with him. What actually impressed me most of all, and which I think of today, at that time I didn't think about it because he was just a grandfather and I enjoyed him as a grandfather. He was wonderful, and I spent almost every day of the 3 months that we spent with him. But today when I think about it, 46, 47 were the crucial periods in India's history when partition was taking place, when there were riots in the country, when there were so many things on Gandhiji's mind, and yet he didn't tell us, look, I don't have time to spend with you. He gave us the time, and daily we spent time with him. And we didn't feel at that time, I distinctly remember that I didn't realize that he was under so much of pressure. Because when he spent his time with us, he gave us his full attention. And I think that that is an important quality for all of us, parents, particularly, to give full attention to our children when we're talking to them. That is what Gandhiji did. No pressures, nothing on his mind. His attention was on us.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Karthik from East Coast Campus. We all know that was a very sad day for the nation when Gandhiji was assassinated. But in that month, he penned a letter to you. That letter is now displayed at the Gandhi Museum in India. Could you please share with us your feelings on receiving that letter?
Well, I had just left Gandhiji in 1947 around October, November, and got back to South Africa and received the letter in January, around January, December. So it was absolutely a thrilling experience. And once again, you know, in his busy schedule, can you imagine him sitting down, spending that time to write a letter to me? So today I think about it in those terms, that he actually spent that time to write to me, and I feel very important because he did that. But when I was a little child, I felt absolutely elated to receive a letter, some communication with my grandfather, whom I loved very much. In those 3 months, I got to know him well, and so to receive the letter was indeed wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, during your stint with the National Defense Force, you mentioned in the previous interview that you had to make your presence known. Ma'am, being a woman peace activist, what do you say is the toughest aspect of your work?
Okay, in the Defense Force. Okay, I was representing the women's group in that defense team, and I want you to imagine people who were fighting each other just a few days before we met them. They were enemies, they were killing each other. And then when we had a changeover in our government, all these armies, people who were trained to kill, all those armies came together and formed one army, a South African army. And to bring them all together was quite a challenge in the first place, to get them to understand that now you are friends, you're no longer enemies, you're not fighting each other, you are going to defend the country. And that is your role. Defend the country, not to create war. And that is what our law says as well. But I think the greatest challenge was, firstly, the army in most countries, I don't know how it is in Singapore, but in South Africa, definitely, it was a male-dominated army. And people didn't look upon women as an important part of the army. They also didn't think that women were capable of doing all the things that, you know, like a general, being a general of an army, going into the submarine, and so on. What they said is that you have to protect women. They don't have the, you know...
Already ready with her question?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Madhumita Atle, a student of class 12. And my question to you is, you run various community projects, including the Phoenix settlement. Can you share with us what is the objective of the Phoenix? How has it helped to contribute to social change in South Africa?
Okay, Phoenix settlement was established by Mahatma Gandhi in 1904. At the time when he established the Phoenix settlement, his ideas were based on Tolstoyan philosophy. That philosophy says that the world has sufficient for everybody's need, but not for people's greed. So the first thing was that you lead a simple life. You begin to make things yourself to become self-sufficient. You grow your own vegetables. You have your own, make your own clothes. You saw the khadi, idea. Those were all ideas so that every person, there would be no one who would be without clothes if they can make it themselves. And so in that way, you ensure that everyone has a decent house, clothes, food, and so on, the basic necessities of life. So that is what Phoenix Settlement stood for, those ideals. And there was a newspaper at Phoenix Settlement, the Indian Opinion, that used to be run there. And the newspaper had 3 objectives. One was to educate the community, 2, to mobilize the community, and number 3, to give the community accurate information. Now, thank you very much for your hospitality and for inviting me here. Thank you.
On behalf of Global Schools Foundation and the network of Global Indian International Schools, we sincerely thank you, ma'am, for taking time out of your busy schedule